The rust-covered car sat alone beneath years of dust and silence, hidden in the darkest corner of a forgotten warehouse. To everyone else, it was nothing more than an old machine waiting to be scrapped. But what nobody knew was that inside that silent car lived the memories of a father, a family, and a promise that had never been fulfilled. And when the engine finally roared back to life after years of being dead, it would change far more than anyone could imagine. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that even forgotten things deserve another opportunity, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more inspiring stories like this to life. Sophia Bennett was one of the youngest CEOs in the country. At only 36 years old, she had built a billion-dollar automotive technology company that was admired around the world. Her face appeared on magazine covers. Investors praised her vision. Employees respected her leadership. From the outside, she seemed to have everything. But success had not protected her from grief. Years earlier, her father, Robert Bennett, had passed away unexpectedly after a brief illness. He had been a mechanic his entire life. Unlike his daughter, who embraced cutting-edge technology and luxury vehicles, Robert loved old cars. He believed every machine had a story and every engine deserved patience. Growing up, Sophia spent countless afternoons in her father's garage. The smell of oil, the sound of tools clinking together, and the sight of her father smiling beneath a dusty cap were among her earliest memories. Yet after his death, those memories became painful. Instead of finding comfort in them, Sophia buried herself in work. She avoided anything that reminded her of the man she missed so deeply. The old garage was closed. His tools were packed away. And his favorite car, a faded blue classic sedan he had spent decades restoring, was moved into a company storage warehouse where nobody ever looked at it. Years passed. The car remained untouched. Employees occasionally mentioned it, asking whether it should be auctioned or scrapped. Sophia always gave the same answer. Leave it there. Not because she cared about the vehicle anymore. Because she couldn't bear to see it. The old car represented everything she had lost. One rainy autumn afternoon, a single father named Daniel Carter arrived at Bennett Automotive seeking temporary work. Daniel's life had been difficult. After losing his wife several years earlier, he had devoted himself to raising his 10-year-old daughter, Emma. Every day was a balancing act between earning enough money and being present for the child who depended on him. Despite the challenges, Daniel never complained. He worked hard, stayed humble, and treated people with kindness. When he was assigned maintenance duties at one of the company's storage facilities, he expected nothing unusual. But then he saw the forgotten blue sedan. Covered in dust and surrounded by neglected equipment, the car immediately caught his attention. There was something special about it. Most people saw rust. Daniel saw craftsmanship. Most people saw an old vehicle. Daniel saw years of love. As someone who had spent countless weekends repairing cars with his own father before he passed away, Daniel recognized the signs instantly. The vehicle had been cared for deeply before being abandoned. He couldn't stop thinking about it. Every day during lunch breaks, he would quietly examine the car. He brushed away dust. He inspected old engine components. He researched missing parts. Slowly, a picture began forming in his mind. The car wasn't beyond saving. Far from it. It simply needed someone willing to believe in it again. For weeks, Daniel spent his free time working on the sedan. He never asked for permission. He never expected recognition. He simply felt connected to it. Perhaps because he understood what it meant to feel forgotten. Perhaps because, like the car, he too had endured years of hardship while trying to hold his family together. As winter approached, Emma occasionally accompanied him to the warehouse after school. She would sit nearby doing homework while her father carefully repaired small components. Watching him work brought a smile to her face. For the first time in years, she saw him genuinely happy. The project gave him purpose. The car gave him hope. And sometimes hope arrives in the most unexpected forms. Meanwhile, Sophia remained focused on expanding her company internationally. Her schedule left little room for reflection. She avoided personal matters whenever possible. Yet despite all her achievements, a quiet emptiness followed her everywhere. Awards didn't fill it. Money didn't fill it. Success didn't fill it. The absence of her father lingered beneath every accomplishment. Then one morning, a warehouse supervisor mentioned an unusual situation. An employee had been spending personal time restoring an old vehicle from storage. Sophia barely paid attention. Until she heard which vehicle. Her father's car. A sudden wave of emotions hit her. Anger. Confusion. Pain. Why would anyone touch it? Why couldn't people leave the past alone? Determined to put an end to the situation, she drove to the warehouse immediately. When she arrived, she found Daniel kneeling beside the sedan. For a moment, she simply stared. The car looked different. The thick dust was gone. The faded paint had been cleaned. Several damaged components had been repaired. For the first time in years, the vehicle looked alive. Yet instead of appreciation, Sophia felt defensive. She turned away before getting too close. She couldn't look at it. The memories hurt too much. Without saying much, she instructed management to stop the restoration project. Daniel nodded respectfully. He understood. The car belonged to her family. The decision was hers. But as he packed away his tools, something unexpected happened. Emma, who had accompanied him that day, noticed a framed photograph lying inside the vehicle. Curious, she picked it up. It showed a younger Robert Bennett standing beside the very same car, smiling proudly while holding a little girl in his arms. That little girl was Sophia. The image somehow found its way to her desk later that afternoon. When she saw it, something inside her cracked. For years she had avoided grief. For years she had hidden from memories. But now those memories refused to stay buried. She spent hours staring at the photograph. She remembered summer drives with her father. She remembered learning how engines worked. She remembered promises she had made to visit him more often before he became ill. Most of all, she remembered his kindness. That night, she couldn't sleep. The next morning, she returned to the warehouse. This time, she approached the car. Slowly. Carefully. Like someone approaching a piece of their own heart. The vehicle was far from perfect. There were still scratches. Still imperfections. Still unfinished repairs. Yet she suddenly understood something important. Her father had never cared about perfection. He cared about effort. About patience. About believing in things worth saving. Just like Daniel had done. For several minutes, she sat quietly in the driver's seat. The familiar scent of aged leather brought tears to her eyes. For the first time since her father's death, she allowed herself to cry openly. Years of suppressed grief finally surfaced. And strangely, it felt healing. The following week, Sophia invited Daniel back. Instead of ending the project, she asked him to finish it. Together, they worked on the restoration. Employees were surprised to see the CEO spending evenings in a warehouse, covered in grease and learning old repair techniques. But something remarkable was happening. The car wasn't the only thing being restored. Sophia herself was healing. Daniel's quiet resilience reminded her that loss didn't have to define a person forever. Emma's optimism reminded her that hope could survive even the darkest seasons. Little by little, the warehouse became a place of friendship. A place of recovery. A place where broken things found purpose again. Months later, the restoration was finally complete. The day everyone had waited for arrived. The engine had not started in years. Nobody knew whether it would actually run. Employees gathered around. Daniel stood beside Emma. Sophia sat behind the wheel. The moment felt bigger than a car. It felt like a test of faith. A test of perseverance. A test of whether forgotten dreams could truly come back to life. Sophia turned the key. At first, there was silence. Then came a sputter. Another sputter. The crowd held its breath. And suddenly, the engine roared to life. The sound echoed throughout the warehouse. Powerful. Beautiful. Alive. Cheers erupted everywhere. Emma jumped up and down with excitement. Daniel smiled quietly. And Sophia began crying. Not because the car had started, but because something inside her had started again too. Her father's memory no longer felt like a wound. It felt like a gift. A reminder of where she came from. A reminder of who she wanted to be. If you're still watching, please leave a comment saying, "Every heart deserves a second chance." It helps us know how many people believe in hope, kindness, and redemption. A few months later, Sophia established a new company program dedicated to helping struggling single parents find meaningful employment opportunities. Daniel became one of its first managers. His life changed dramatically, but he never forgot where he started. The restored blue sedan earned a permanent place in the company's headquarters lobby. Not as a trophy. Not as a decoration. But as a symbol. A symbol that people, dreams, and even old cars should never be judged by how broken they appear. Visitors often asked why such an ordinary vehicle occupied such an important position. Sophia always smiled when answering. Because sometimes the most valuable things are the ones people almost throw away. Years later, employees still told the story. Not about a CEO. Not about a car. But about a grieving daughter who learned to embrace her father's memory again. About a single dad who chose kindness when nobody was watching. And about an engine that reminded everyone that even after years of silence, the right person can help a forgotten heart start again. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with friends and family, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Your support allows more inspiring stories of hope, resilience, and compassion to reach people who may need them today. Because sometimes all it takes is one person willing to care, to bring something beautiful back to life. The end.